Welcome, Dr. James Beckett, Sports Card Insights. Another pre-national episode as the Nationals beginning this week. A few unrelated topics that I'll try to bring back to the National. It's going to be a great event. Thanks sponsors, all of whom I think will be there. Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication, ComC.com, Burbank Sports Cards, Mike Stadium Sports Cards, Heritage Auctions, Huggins & Scott Auctions, and Topps Upper Deck and Panini. First comment, got a message from Brian Weaver asking how about an upcoming episode about tennis card collecting on your podcast. Brian, I grew up playing tennis. It's a great sport, but sometimes the sports that involve a lifetime playing are not as highly collected, kind of like golf, and not like soccer. You usually play soccer when you're a kid or when you're super fit, and then later you're watching soccer, collecting soccer. Tennis doesn't have teams. It's very international, so there's a lot of reasons why it might be slow to catch on. However, the connection to the National is when I'm going to the National, I will look around, Brian, and if I see a lot of tennis cards there, which I don't think I will, but if I did see a lot, that may mean it's too late to get on the tennis train. If I look around the National, as I did I've been to every one, and I would survey around, especially when I do price guides. If you don't see very much of something, ironically, that means it's possibly a buying opportunity, that it hadn't really hit the mainstream. Good luck in your collecting. It's a topic that will be revisited, and I hope you enjoy the National. Next, I was listening to Cage Lawyer's 5 Minutes podcast. I'm enjoying your shorter format, Cage, occasionally longer, but talking about thematic repacks. I think repacks are here to stay. I agree, Cage. And thematic repacks based on players or teams or sports, I think it's going to go that way. In fact, that's the way I do my eBay lots. I either do players or teams. But the counter argument is that it's more work. It's more sorting. It's more marketing. It's easier just to have a random repack. If you organize it into players and teams, there's some sorting and some marketing there. However, the other development with these repacks, the branded repacks that are coming from a source that'll stand behind it, they're actually backing up your purchase, that if you don't like what you got, you can turn it back in for credit on your next repack. This is really no different than what I do when I sell on eBay, is that there is a money-back guarantee, and I don't show the pictures on my lots that you can see every single card. So it's half blind, but if somebody was dissatisfied, which nobody has been, but if they would be, because they're not knowing exactly what they get, they could turn it back in and they get their money back, not just a credit on another lot. So the good thing about the National is that when you're there and you see these repacks, you can ask questions, you can try to see the documentation of what's there. And I agree, Cage. I think that's the way it will go. But we'll see if that gathers some speed. Third, I did get some boxes this week from Panini. I did not get a box of the Rookie Royalty with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, so did not have the pleasure of opening that. Am I upset about that? Absolutely not. In fact, when the card companies send out promotional materials to publishers or influencers or podcasters or YouTubers, anything they would do like that, it's probably to increase the hype. That's a product that didn't need any hype. They didn't need my help to say this is a very interesting product. There's going to be some winners and some losers. There's going to be a lot more losers than winners, but the big winners will get a lot of publicity, and that's the hype. So they don't need to send it out to me or anybody else. But they want to build up some momentum before the National. That's come out. A lot of it will be open to where you'll see it in the showcases. I did, on my own nickel, purchase the Panini Draft Night kind of instant set. I bought a set, and then I bought some extra Cooper flags, just my part to the hobby ecosystem, and I haven't received them yet, but when I get them, I don't know that I'll get some parallels or anything special, but I want to sport the Mavs, and a complete set seemed to be the best deal instead of buying a few players. You never know who might hit it, and I'll just set them aside and see. So I did get a box of Donruss Racing. They call it racing, but really I think it's just NASCAR. And they have a VIP experience for the Daytona 500 next, I think, February. That'd be cool. I have not been to Daytona. I've been to several of the others. I've been to Charlotte. I've been to, obviously, the Texas Motor Speedway. 8 cards, 16 packs. Again, I just think more and more of the sports ought to be doing VIP experiences, and that'll come. 3 autographs or memorabilia per box. I did get that. $95 a box and $200 for the first off the line. I did not get the first off the line. I just think racing, I really enjoy NASCAR. There's less drivers. If you collect a particular driver, there's more concentration. The drivers are more accessible, and so the autograph prices are not as great. out of my box, whatever it was, 128 cards. About half of them were base and half of them were better than base. So I like that. I'm not putting together sets anymore, but I alphabetize and have my ways. It's probably something that'll go up on the wall. Jerry Logano on the box and on the packs. No purchase necessary offer. I occasionally have done that just to see what's going on. The 1 chrome per pack, I've said anything that's 1 per pack is generally not going to be a high unless it's a great player. But a 1 per pack insert of a not so great player is not. It could wind up being in the dollar box, but I want something a little bit lower supply than that. Not a lot of serial numbered cards in there, but some on the whole a good product, and I think a good value. Anything $100 for a box is good. The other one was the Panini Photogenic NBA. I'm actually not dollar boxing basketball cards as much. When I get a box, especially the Photogenic, which really is photogenic, it's an opportunity to see great looking cards of players that I like, but dollar box action in basketball doesn't work very well for me by the way I do it. And a lot of people hit that one first. But 10 packs of 5 cards, 1 autograph per box on average. I always like to say it's more. Did I get that? No, I actually got 2. Now, I did only get 9 non-base cards when I was supposed to get 10. But am I complaining? No, I got a second autograph. The legal disclaimers that Panini has, and Topps and Upper Deck, all of them, that could have to do with the authenticity of the jerseys or the game-used or not so much game-used material and the pack odds. And if we've seen from recent controversies is that the legalese is being dumbed down to not give you an explicit guarantee just for legal protection. They could get jerseys from a secondary source that has always been good, but there could be a mistake. So they're being risk averse, I think, in many cases. $400 a box, just released 2 weeks before the National. One of the base cards is Ben Simmons. I'm not sure what they're thinking there, but these sets are determined in advance. I've always had the fantasy that the Mavericks are going to trade or sign Ben Simmons and they're going to teach him how to shoot and give him a sports psychologist to give him confidence that he can shoot in the games, take the big shot. He'd be an all-star if he could shoot. Okay, advice about the National. I've never heard anybody say this, but I actually don't think the National should be somebody's first show. You've heard the expression, it's not your first rodeo. If it is your first rodeo, don't go to the biggest rodeo in the world, the most famous rodeo. Do a regular, more local or regional rodeo down in Texas. Here there are some of those before you go to the biggest one ever. Your first soccer game shouldn't be at the World Cup. You don't have any perspective. I use Kyle's Waters Creek Dallas shows. They advertise 700 tables, but I think it's more than that. Could I consider that a practice round or a warm-up? Again, I'm a veteran show dealer, but going to a really big regional show less than a month before the National is getting me in shape. And so I think you should do that too. If somebody only goes to the National once a year, it's just so disorienting when you walk in when it's so huge. It's only 4 or 5 times bigger than the Dallas show, so that's a warm-up. Next, I hate lines. So I try to avoid lines as much as possible in my life, but especially at the National. So I'm not going to stand in line for autographs. I'm not going to stand in line for redemptions. I guess I would if Roberto Clemente was signing an autograph, yes, I'd get in line. I used to always have appointments. I don't like having appointments. I want to be efficient in optimizing my time looking through the cards with plenty of time for social that's somewhat intermingled with that, and some of that when I'm wandering around, and then more purely social when there's no cards in sight in the evenings when I have dinner with friends or go to events. I wear comfortable shoes. My iPhone counts the steps. I'm well over 10,000. Even when I'm sitting around in the morning, just enough walking around in the afternoon, I'm always way over 10,000 steps. So I'm not going on the treadmill at the hotel, but I'm walking over. I'm within walking distance. I get my stretching done whenever I drop a card, and I have to reach down from the chair or from standing to pick up the card, and I drop a card every hour. One new thing I'm going to do at this National is I'm going to try to do some 2 or 3 minute interviews with people. If I'm there and somebody walks up, I think I'm just going to turn on my recorder and grab a few minutes that could be released in a podcast form or on YouTube, or could be used for some questions. I'm going to do that, and I'm looking forward to that. So that's going to be a little bit of a break in the action too. Always bring energy bars, and this time I'm bringing a refillable water bottle. Newsflash, I won't have Rich Klein there, but I'll have some other trusted buddies, I'm sure, that wingmen, but no Rich this year. Chicago, I know where the food is. I know where the bathrooms are. I don't know where one of the dealers is that I had a great time with 2 years ago. I know where he is, but I don't know the number. I don't remember his name. So when they talk about writing down the table number or circling something on the grid that's provided, I know exactly where the person was. And if they're in the same spot, I will find them because they had a distinctive presentation and I had a great time. The only negative was no chairs. It's the only one where I spent more than an hour with no chair. That's not as much fun, but I'm determined to find that dealer. The Dallas Card Show, last few shows, they have been cracking down with no chairs in the aisles. I hope the National doesn't do that, but again, his aisles are narrower than National. Let's see, I bring a backpack, and in that backpack, I bring an empty 800 count, an empty double shoe, and I'll bring a triple shoe in my luggage, because my goal at the National is to buy 100 cards an hour. And in dollar box, that's not always very hard if it's a good dollar box. If it's a bad dollar box, after one row, and out of 1,000 cards, I've only picked out 10, I'm probably going to change tables. I also bring an empty duffel bag in case I have more to bring back. Again, Rich Klein is famous for no base cards. He says, do not buy base cards. Well, I don't really want to buy base cards because I'm more low supply. Actually, I'm low supply, low demand. If it's low supply and high demand, it's in a showcase. Anything high demand. If it's high supply, high demand, I leave that for other people. But occasionally, I'll buy a package deal. And if I do, I may need to bring that back or mail it. I don't like to open packs. So I don't really want to do that at the National. A pack or two, a sample pack I will do. But I'm not there to bust packs. On the other hand, I'm sitting at a dollar box table and going through boxes a lot faster than I would go with busting packs. And same thing with packs. You're going to hit a bunch of base cards, and then all of a sudden you're going to hit a couple better cards. It's more random with the dollar boxes at the National or at any show, but it's still fun. The uncertainty, again, I've said it keeps me sharp to be mentally pattern recognition, to see something, hey, that looks different. I don't always know what's different about it other than it's not a base card. And so I could decide if I want to buy it for $1, not much ventured, not much to be lost. My old company, Beckett, and I'll pop in and see those guys. Again, I have no official assignment, but I am the founder, and I will connect with several of the people there specifically. But I noticed they have a 25% off on their OPG, on their online price guides. And I think the online price guide, if you're looking up cards one at a time, the magazines and the online price guide, to be able to see a list of cards where you can run your finger down, whether it's on screen or in a magazine, it's just, especially if they're not as expensive cards, you still want to know. Like I said, I'm all about trying to get a good deal, or let's see, maybe not a good deal, but avoiding a bad deal. And then lastly, got an email actually from Bill Kearney saying that he saw me at the National in Cleveland, and it turned out he was sitting next to me when we were going through the dollar boxes, probably at the Singles Club. And so another guy was on my right. I think he was on my left, and I knew the guy on the right. I didn't know him. And I don't just go up to people and say, hey, I'm Jim Beckett. You may have heard of me, or you may have gotten some price guides or be a fan or of BGS or whatever. I don't really do that, but I don't. He said, are you Jim Beckett? I said, yes, actually I am. And maybe he could tell by that. But he had some good reminiscence that he had known Denny Eckes, my longtime business partner, a long time ago. And so we had a good chat. My point is that look forward to interacting with people at the National. It's one of the main reasons I go. I love cards, but the people that love cards are high on my list as well. He mentioned that and I love getting feedback like this at the National or any time, but he said maybe he didn't know about my podcast, but after last year he went back and does daily walks, and so they're perfect for knocking them out. And so he got through about 2/3 of them. And so he's getting a second wind, and he wanted some advice from me of what he should do to catch up with. He's still got several hundred to go, and hats off if he's done 900. I started out thinking I'd do 1,000, and I'm into the 1,400s now. He said I skipped numbers at 1,001 to 1099. I actually didn't skip them. I assigned those to some of my YouTube videos, and then so I do have episodes. But he said, how do most people do it? How do most people go through? And even though the episodes are not in chronological order of life, I was born, I was a teenager, I was in grad school, I was a collector, I was a dealer. It's not historically sequenced, but I always encourage people to listen at more than single speed, at 1.5 times, and skip ahead if it's an episode you're not interested in. Again, there are some embedded nuggets, I hope, in each episode, but he says he loves the one with Rich Klein. You certainly, but I think sometimes the episodes build on each other. So sometimes I'll make reference to something before, and so I would encourage you to do them in number order, skipping the summaries if you don't want to do that, or skipping a product review of a product that you have no interest in, or if it's a soccer episode. Again, there are other insights in there, but if you're not interested in soccer at all, you could skip one. Again, I'm a completist. I don't do complete sets anymore, but maybe I have FOMO. Most of the podcasts that I subscribe to, I really pretty much listen to all of them. But I do listen at double speed. And if they're a really fast talker, I might listen at 1.5 times speed. So he says he's not coming, so I won't see him there, but I think probably some of these guys, after I meet them once, they're friends. So then I'll see him the next time, and there will be a little bit of rapport. You might have to remind me, but I love the hobby. I love the National and love collectors. We are a tribe. So look forward to it. I will see you there. I'll be there. I'm leaving in a couple of days, and it's going to be great.
Is doing all right.